a gate. Yeah. Then probably then we could integrate. Yeah. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Hello, and welcome to Camp Venture's 2021 celebration of the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This event is always one I look forward to, seeing members of our board of directors, families, our individuals, staff, and members of the community come together to honor and celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King. It's hard to believe that just a year ago, we were all gathered together at Venture Center in one room, singing and laughing and rejoicing the life of Dr. King, his legacy as a leader in the civil rights movement, and his means of advancing civil rights through nonviolence and civil disobedience. We've learned a lot in this past year, and lesson one is that we are all in this together. We are responsible for each other, and we are all equal. Just think of how the COVID-19 pandemic has proven this concept. This past year has also confirmed that the fight taken up by Dr. King and the civil rights movement did not end with the signing of the 1964 Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Our nation unfortunately still struggles with inequality, voter disenfranchisement, and the basic understanding by all that Black lives matter. We are all responsible to continue the work of Dr. King to ensure that all of us are entitled to and have the right to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Camp Venture is currently working on scheduled training modules for our staff to address social and racial injustice so that we can all learn about, battle, and overcome continued discrimination. Last year marked the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and we've learned that people with disabilities, unfortunately, can easily lose their rights through governmental apathy and cuts to funding. We cannot be complacent. We must follow the example set by Dr. King and continue to make our voices heard through nonviolent means and advocacy. Dr. King said, "Everybody can be great because anybody can serve." And I see that greatness among our venture staff every day. I see their commitment and compassion for the people we support, and I witness their hard work, sacrifice, and dedication to our cause. And I have learned to be grateful for each of you.
Hello to my Camp Venture family, and greetings from St. Charles AME Zion Church. My name is Pastor McLaughlin, and I am so excited for us to be able to share together virtually during this Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. St. Charles and Camp Venture have a long-standing relationship of us coming together and sharing in these experiences, and we were excited when we got asked to still come even now during this pandemic. I was asked to share one of the things about Dr. Martin Luther King that kind of means something to me, and that is that he was able to inspire so many people. He used the gifts that he had been given to inspire others to use their gifts as well. And so my hope today is to inspire you. The same way Dr. Martin Luther King inspired others to use their gifts, I hope to inspire you to use your gifts that you have so that others can be blessed in this world. The gifts that he used, they inspired others, and the gifts that you have, the gifts that you use, they'll inspire others to be amazing as well. And so, as I close today, take the gifts that you have. Yes, I want you to take every single gift that you have and use that gift to change the world. Use that gift to inspire someone else so that they can inspire someone else, and then they can inspire someone else. Use your gifts, and you too can change the world. God bless you.
Who am I that you are mindful of me, that you hear me when I call? Is it true that you are thinking of me? Oh, how you love me. It's amazing. Who am I, oh Lord?
Who am I that you are mindful of me?
That you hear me.
That you hear me.
When I call your
When
name.
I call.
Is it true, oh Lord?
Is it true that you are thinking of me?
How you love me.
How you love me.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Lift it up, say, I am a friend.
I am a friend of God.
I am a friend of God.
I am a friend of God.
Are you glad he's your
I am a friend of God. He calls me friend.
Friend that sticks closer than a brother.
I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend.
He calls me friend. Who am I, say?
Who am I that you are mindful of me?
How you love me.
That you hear
and
me.
you hear me every time I
When
call.
I call.
Oh, is it true, oh Lord?
Is it true that you are thinking of me?
Have me on your mind.
How you love me.
And it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Everybody say I am
a friend of God.
I am a friend of
I am a friend of God.
Aren't you glad he's your
I am a friend of God. He calls me friend.
He'll never leave you or forsake you. I am a friend.
I am a friend of God.
He's somebody I can count
I am a
on.
friend of God.
Nobody but Jesus.
I am a friend
Nobody
of
but
God.
Jesus.
He calls me friend.
There's not a friend like the lonely Jesus. No, not one. No, not one.
There's a book written by Martin Luther King Jr. It's called Strength to Love. It was published in 1963. But this book, it's a collection of his sermon, primarily on the topic of racial segregation in the United States. As I was reflecting on the idea of the strength to love, which is based on the title of this book, so I unravel many things. For example, I know that it's easy to love your family, but in that book, it stresses that how that to love, it requires strength. It means that to love your adversary, to love people that doesn't look like you, it requires that determination. So strength to love it means that doing the right thing. So due to the pandemic, we are having a virtual celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because of this pandemic, we are called and reminded that to love our neighbor. Now, what does that mean in this pandemic? But to love our neighbor, it means that to wear masks during this pandemic. To love our neighbor, it means that practicing social distance. And to love our neighbor, it means that not only you protecting yourself, and also you protecting others, and whether in the marketplace, whether at church with fellowship, and whether in a workplace with your coworkers. Love, it's not something you said, but it is something you do. And the right thing to do in this moment, to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is to protect ourselves, protect the individual that we work with, and also the community where we live in and wherever that we are. The time is always right to do what is right. And this was quoted by Dr. Martin Luther King. So let us do the right thing by wearing face masks. Let us do the right thing by protecting ourselves. Let us do the right thing by protecting our loved ones. Let us do the right thing by protecting our neighbors. And by doing so, we can all save life. The best way and to save life, as reminded, and the best way to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King is to practice what we ought to practice at this time in this season to honor this legacy. I thank you, and God bless you.
Venture Select Data presents our special tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
No person has the right to write on your dreams. Martin Luther King Jr.
Injustice, anywhere as a threat to justice, everywhere, by Dr. King.
We have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat. Martin Luther King Jr.
At the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love by Martin Luther King Jr.
We are not makers of history, we are made by history. Martin Luther King Jr.
Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Martin Luther King Jr.
Dr. King lived and died for the equality of all people. He believed that love conquered all. Equality, not the longevity of one's life, is what is most important. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
He could hold an audience, Martin Luther King can. When he spoke about, he went to Washington, D.C. and had a big, a lot of people came and marched from Selma, Alabama to Washington, D.C. There were a lot of people there. I got a dream.
Yay! Thank you, Dr. King! Say it, guys! Good, Gina.
He was a very good man. He was a model citizen. And he talks about his dream about all politics and white and black should get along.
Happy birthday, Martin Jr.
Clinton, anything that inspired you about Martin Luther King? Can you tell us something about Martin Luther King?
Civil rights leader.
Mm-hmm.
For equal for all.
Mm-hmm.
What should be?
Martin Luther King Jr. is an efficient leader. He's very passionate and he sees the world with a different perspective. His ability to preach peaceful protest to combat social injustice and racial inequality propels us to a better world today. Thank you, Dr. King.
Thank you, Dr. King, for allowing us to experience life where everybody is able to mingle in society. Although we still have work to do, you set up the path for a greater future.